Together is a 2025 American film written and directed by Michael Shanks and is a directorial debut, actually, and stars Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco. The plot follows a struggling couple moving out to a rural town for a change of pace and scenery and a new job opportunity for Millie, played by Alison Brie. This is the tale of codependency, the struggles of long-term relationships, and how sometimes people just grow apart. And also, body horror, right? But I won't be spoiling, much per usual. First of all, I think I'll address the massive elephant in the room, which is the controversy surrounding this film. It was months ago that I went down the Reddit rabbit hole, but there are some, from what I saw, there are some pretty damning accusations pointed at both Dave Franco and Alison Brie, and maybe Michael Shanks as well, but for sure Franco and Brie. And I'll be vague because I don't have all the facts, and I don't want to steer anyone wrong. But what I read was that Franco and Brie were supposed to be in a film very similar to this at one point, maybe a year or two ago. And it was, I think it was made without them. But anyways, a very similar script was pitched to them, which they, at the time, I believe they turned down. And then here we are with a allegedly a very similar story from what I've read, but with a different writer and director. So I don't know enough to point fingers, just to make that clear. But I do hope that it gets settled or whatever. I hope that we do get to the bottom of it. If the accusations are true, that will really bum me out because I did really like this film. I just figured I should mention it. I've been a fan of Neon for a while now, and I had been waiting really impatiently for this one. And I'm happy to say that they have some super promising movies coming out soon also, some trailers that I saw while I was seeing this, and I couldn't be more excited. So, anyways, we have Millie and Tim, played by Dave Franco. They've been together for a long time, like 10 years or so, and their relationship has kind of been on the decline, mostly due to Tim. And I want to feel for the guy because in some ways I can actually relate to him, but he's also kind of a dick. And at this point, Millie she's doing all the heavy lifting in this relationship, and I definitely felt for her. She's a school teacher, and she was able to get a new job out in rural Washington State. And she's got her shit together, so to speak. Tim, on the other hand, is kind of like a failed musician who is unable to let go of his childhood dreams. So he basically kind of lives off Millie while he, waits for things to happen. And he's been doing this for years. And look, I mean, I do get it. I have passions too, like this one right here. But I also know that it's never going to pay the bills. So I work a regular day job, to fund the things that I do. But you get the impression that Tim pretty much refuses to do that. And he also can't move past it, which, again, I do get. And it's also kind of crushed his spirit, I think you would say. Definitely a deep depression that is only amplified since the move, which he had thought the move would help him. There's a scene one night where Millie asks him if they even love each other anymore, or are they just used to being together. And it was a pretty intense scene. It was, for anyone that's ever been in a relationship, kind of felt that. I think. And the next day they go on a hike in the woods where they both fall down into an underground cave. And I might be reading into this a little bit too much, but I did see this twice, and I kind of felt like, them falling into the cave. It started out with with Tim falling first, Millie trying to help him, and basically him pulling her into the hole. So I kind of took that on the second watch as Tim dragging Millie down, metaphorically, as he has already been doing in their relationship. But again, I might be reading too much into it, but it's an interesting thought, I think. And the cave looks like some sort of an old church once was there, probably a long time ago, one would assume. And they end up spending the night there because it's raining outside, and at least in the cave, they have cover from all that. Only to wake up the next morning with their legs stuck together, and which they write off as probably being mildew or something naturally occurring. But that morning after heading home, Tim's mental and even physical health seems to be getting worse and worse pretty fast, pretty much by the hour. He also feels much more drawn to Millie, to the point where he gets sicker when he is away from her, which comes as a huge surprise to him. And of course, she appreciates the attention. It's something that she had been wanting for quite a while, that something seems off about him, which he begins to realize as well. And also, if I'm making it sound like this is like largely a relationship drama, that really, I think, is just the framework here, because this is very much horror through the entire runtime, and I was happy about that. Personally, I think the script is smart, and there's a lot of talent going on here. The cinematography of veteran Jermaine McMicking was just fantastic, and everything here looks great. And I really do have to give credit to Michael Shanks, because this is just about as good as it gets as a directorial debut could be, and he's going places. I really think that the gore and practical effects are very good. And again, this is essentially a body horror film. It's not as like splattery or violent as The Substance, but the gore is there, and it is pretty glorious. And I can't really go into too much more without spoilers, but there were a few scenes where I got John Carpenter's The Thing vibes, which was awesome. And another thing that I'll add is that as a huge fan of H.P. Lovecraft's writing, I can see his fingerprints here all over. Unexplained ancient evil, maybe cosmic, mysterious cults. Yeah, I mean, I hate the term Lovecraftian, being thrown around every time a tentacle shows up or some scary space shit. But together, I think deserves the tag, in my opinion, especially on the second watch. As for other comparisons, oddly enough, I got Filippo brothers vibes. Both Talk to Me and Bring Her Back. I don't know if it was just me, but I could see it. I know that Bring Her Back came out not long ago, so that one is probably a coincidence. But those guys are, I think, to the point now where they will be influencing people, other filmmakers, and that makes me happy to say. So I'm giving Together an 8 out of 10. I really liked it, possibly more on the second watch, and right now it's my second favorite horror film of the year. I really don't have any complaints. It's paced well, always interesting. Dave Franco and Alison Brie both give very good performances, and they really nailed the one thing that I needed them to do, which was to feel like a real, actual couple. Because if these were people that I had met and they told me they had been together for like a decade, I would totally believe it. Because I've whined about it here before. One thing that I can't stand in movies is couples who act like complete strangers, zero on-screen chemistry. I mean, you don't get that here. So I loved the relationship between the two. But yeah, when that happens, it tends to just kill the whole movie for me. Anyways, I would highly recommend this to fans of classic 80s horror, body horror especially, and of course, fans of H.P. Lovecraft. I haven't watched a lot of reviews for this yet, but I haven't seen anyone bring up Lovecraft yet, which I find strange, but it's also probably because I haven't seen many reviews. But anyways, whatever. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.